Yeah, yeah, what's going on, my guys? I think this is maybe the fourth video we did today. This has to be the fourth. I know where I can go and check. Let's start the video first though.
Hi there! DLC 2 update for Sparking Zero just dropped, along with some pretty interesting patch notes. Content-wise, the update is a bit lackluster. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is pretty hype. I mean, Ultra Vegeta 1, my bad. Ponzi's cool and all, but I can shake that feeling that Mini Super Saiyan for Goku, Tamagami 3, or even Shin would have been a better fit. Then again, the Tenkaichi series is known for having outlandish characters on the roster. Think of Arale, the Peel of Gang, Frieza Soldier, freaking Devilman, the list goes on. So I guess Ponzi is completely on brand for a game like Sparking Zero. In a way, we received less content than the superhero DLC. Releasing a Daima DLC without the Demon Realm stage is a bit of a crime, especially when you consider how much people have been begging for more stages. Sparking Zero has some beautiful stages, with some of the most spectacular destruction mechanics in any DBZ game. But the problem is, there just aren't that many of them. Some of the most iconic locations from the show are missing. Kame House, Glacier, Kami's Lookout, HFIL, and if I wanted to be greedy, we could move on to DBS locations like the Tournament of Destroyers, Beerus' Planet, Red Ribbon Base, etc. The thing that stings is that a bunch of these stages are already fully modeled and functioning for campaign missions. Non-destroyed and semi-destroyed versions of the Tournament of Power stage, the Cell Games Arena with a massive crater, Kami's Lookout, Kame House, Goku's House, they're all in the game files and could easily be polished for play. If you're on PC and want more stage variety, I highly recommend checking out Kuroha Senoki's Extended Stage Select mod. It features over 50 new stage select options. So yeah, content-wise, this update doesn't offer all that much. But the characters do look pretty good. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta's transformation scene is actually pretty insane. Like I said, the characters are nice. Sure, I would have loved to see SS4 Mini Goku and Tamagami 3, but hey, it is what it is. At least that means DLC 3 is gonna be more hype. I hope. However, not everything about this update is underwhelming. In fact, the gameplay patches might actually be the best ones we've gotten so far. Back in March, the finals for the official Bandai tournament, the Dramatic Showdown, took place. 8 finalists, one from each of the 8 eligible countries, were given a shot to duke it out for the title of Sparking Zero champion. Unfortunately for the players, each finalist was assigned a specific character based on their country, meaning they couldn't choose their main. I want you guys to take a good hard look at these 8 finalists and each of the characters they were given. Just by looking at the roster, would you be able to tell who had the best shot at winning based on character alone? If you said Super Baby 2, you'd be almost right, actually. But no, it's Ultra Instinct. It's obviously Ultra Instinct. The 2 Gogetas also had a good chance of winning, but they lacked one thing MUI Goku had: undeflectable and heavily spammable charged ki blasts. This is how the final match between France and Germany went.
Trying to save that key gauge, trying to save the skill points, but you have to try to survive. You can't afford to take more. That sidestep was mental, clinical.
Trash Stray here. So he's looking with the UI Goku. Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
And again, the back is exposed. Oh, my goodness. And just the plasma, the projectiles to the face.
He tossed it. I think he's trying to go. You know, he's trying to go for the instant sparking, but he can't. Interrupted again and again. Trash Stray.
Man, he's taking to the skies right now. He finally
Finds
gets
it.
sparking off. He's going to get the opportunity.
Oh, and he does it. Trash.
In defense of the UI player, he did claim that he only played that way to show Bandai just how broken UI Goku really is. Now, I don't know if it was because of him, but Bandai actually listened. The rate at which UI Goku's air bullets can be fired has been significantly reduced. And the cherry on top? They can now be deflected and no longer interrupt your dashes. Do these changes make UI Goku suck now? No, not really. It just makes him less cheap and a bit more balanced. Well, as balanced as an Ultra Instinct character can be. Speaking of Ultra Instinct, the king of cheese himself, Whis, has also seen a significant nerf. His symphonic destruction can finally be evaded with a perfectly timed vanish. Frankly, I'm not even sure why they made it unvanishable in the first place. Before the patch, Whis players would cheese you by locking you in a recovery animation, usually after a ground slash, and then proceed to spam the ever-living SHIT out of Symphonic Destruction. And you know what's the coolest thing about his Symphonic Destruction? The move costs a mere 2 Ki Blast stocks. Yeah, they really wanted to make Whis feel overpowered. Speaking of overpowered, charged Ki Blasts just got hit with a massive nerf across the board. The biggest victims of this nerf? UI Goku's air bullets, and more importantly, Blue Gogeta. He had a somewhat cheap barrage of Ki Blasts that dealt around 6,000 damage, and yeah, they tracked really well too. The damage has been significantly reduced, and the homing seems to be a bit slower. Overall, a perfect way to balance his charged Ki Blasts. The most random and surprising part about this update came in the form of a battle sound effects toggle. You know how people have been complaining that Sparking Zero's punches and attacks don't feel like they, you know, pack a punch? Well, in preparation for this video, I've been playing the game non-stop, and I can't explain how satisfying the game feels with them enabled. It's actually crazy how a simple change like this can greatly increase the experience. They seem to be heavily inspired by BT3 sound effects. The Z counter especially sounds 1-to-1. Even though they seem to be inspired by BT3 sound effects, I mean, they're even called classic sound effects, the more I listen to them, the more they remind me of the anime, rather than BT3. I don't know, I'll play them for you, I'll let you guys decide.
How do you like this?
Speaking of BT3, this update brought what might be the best change for people who prefer close-range combat. With the Superhero DLC, the devs made it so that each time you perform the Z-Burst dash, instead of losing 1 stack of ki, like you did prior to the update, you'd now lose 2. This change saw the rise of zoner characters, such as UI Goku, Gogeta Blue, androids, and pretty much all characters that had unblockable Ki Blasts. They would essentially run and spam Ki Blasts, all the while you're trying to catch up. When Z-Burst Dash only cost 1 Ki Bar, it wasn't that hard to manage. But 2? Yeah, let's just say it became a luxury. After exactly 3 months of the zoning terror, close-range players can finally rejoice, as the Z-Burst Dash has finally been buffed. It's not quite as powerful as it was before the Superhero DLC, but it's definitely more viable now. Interestingly, they've taken a page out of BT3's book. The amount of ki consumed now depends on distance. If your opponent is relatively close, you'll only lose about 1 bar. But if they're far away, the cost increases accordingly, usually about 1.5 bars. Combine that with a new ki recovery buff after each hit, the runaway and spam Ki Blasts from a distance playstyle seems to be on a downward trend. Update. I don't know how I missed this, but it looks like unblockable charged Ki Blasts, like Trunks' sword slashes, have been nerfed. Their damage has been reduced, and they can't be spammed as easily anymore since the cooldown between each slash has been increased. Yeah, the run and gun playstyle is in trouble. The devs are continuing their crusade against Ultra Instinct mains with another major nerf. Previously, UI Goku and Whis would automatically dodge every single rush combo. You know, the basic attack strings you do by pressing square. Now, well, they still dodge square combos, but if you press triangle at any point during the combo, they can't dodge it anymore. Try that on any version of the game before this patch, and it just doesn't work. The game wouldn't let you throw in heavy smashes or leg kicks while UI characters were auto-dodging. Way too many players have been leaning on that auto-dodge, especially Whis, since he doesn't even lose ki while using it. Beautiful change. Wild Sense and After Image merchants aren't safe either. Both Wild Sense and After Image can now be negated, simply by perceptioning your opponent's attack at any point while they have either utility active. A nice change. Although, to be fair, it was already pretty easy to bait out Wild Sense by just landing a hit or two and immediately vanishing afterward. Speaking of perception, you can no longer pull it off while blocking. Previously, if your opponent was holding block while you were mashing, the game let you activate perception mid-block. I'm spamming that perception button into oblivion right now, but as you you can see, it's simply not possible anymore. Good stuff. The tracking issues appear to have been addressed, as I have yet to encounter any issues since the update. And when I say tracking issues, this is what I mean. Imagine you're mid-combo, your opponent's nearly dead, and you just need a few more hits, but Bandai says, yeah, that was a real thing. Kinda surreal how long it took to fix something this major. Using super perception to deflect supers has also seen a buff. You recover one stack of ki and your charging speed is doubled. It's a bit of shame that super perception still consumes 2 skill counts per deflection. Otherwise, people would use it more often. They adjusted the camera behavior between regular fighters and giants, which is a welcome change and all, but I fail to see the point in nerfing characters that were already nerfed into the ground. Giants take more damage now. They deal less damage with their melee attacks. They recover more slowly after missing their melee or smash attacks. And for some reason, they reduce the speed of their backward dashes. Wait, it's not just them. Backward short dashes have been nerfed across the board. That's a bit random. Nappas, Popovich, and Rikum have all had their health decreased by roughly half a health bar. To be frank, I'm surprised Rikum wasn't hit sooner. I haven't mentioned this in my dramatic showdown section, but Rikum was present on every single team in that tournament. Why, you may ask? Well, he only costs 3 DP points, and in return, he gives you super armor during sparking, an extra half bar of health, and some of the highest defense in the game, meaning he takes less damage than most of the roster. He'll most likely still be a staple in DP battles. Losing half a health bar isn't that big of a deal compared to everything he has to offer. Speaking of DP battles, you can now finally toggle the amount of DP you want in all game modes, except ranked. Instead of just 15, you can now also choose 10 or 20. Not hating, but this is something that should have been there from the start. And the last interesting change from the patch notes comes in the form of tweaks to the Dragon Dash system. Previously, when you used Dragon Dash to close in on your opponent, it would randomly stop short, leaving about a 5-foot gap between you and them. Now, no matter how you manipulate the dash's trajectory, you'll always land face to face with your opponent. Also, rush attacks connect more seamlessly when executed from a dash. They've decreased the time required to fully charge smash attacks during a Dragon Dash. Not sure why they felt this was necessary, but it's certainly not a bad change. Patch notes are pretty solid. I'd give them a 9 out of 10. Although the actual content of the DLC, the main attraction for most of the player base, is a bit underwhelming. Come to think of it, even if they added Super Saiyan 4 Mini and Tamagami 3, people would probably still feel the same way. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about the voices. For some strange reason, they didn't actually dub the voices.
I might have fallen behind on my training, but still, there's no chance I'm gonna get beaten by a kid.
今の俺を甘く見るなよ。手加減できそうにないからな。
There was some speculation that they delayed the DLC for a month so they could dub the voices. But yeah, that wasn't the case. Matter of fact, no one really knows why the DLC was delayed for so long. Maybe part 2 of the Daima DLC will give us some answers. The more time passes, the more obvious it becomes that this game just needs more content. Whether it's single-player content, new stages, costumes as rewards, story campaigns to tie in with the DLC characters, or hell, even raid bosses. That Broly raid boss they had.
Alright, I think that's the end of that video. We're gonna get right into the next one, and then we can take a good break, man.